Welcome to Settled on the Field, a bird's eye view of the sports landscape from Little League, travel sports, high school athletics to recruiting, NIL, and walk ons. Join us on a rocket ship to the next level. Croup and Jeb, how are we doing today?
What up, JEP?
How you doing, LIZ and Croup? I'm excited.
Happy to be here.
LIVIN.
Everybody have a good day?
Man, I had a good day.
It was a productive, long day. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure neither of you started off with a cold shower like you were supposed to.
I got half a cold shower. It was rough.
How did it feel?
I can't do hot to cold. I just got to go cold and be done with it because I went hot, then to cold, and I was just like struggling.
Did you make it through? Look, you're here.
I made it.
You can
Do
do
you
hard
think it would be
things.
better if you went cold to hot? I think that's harder.
I feel like I just got to do cold and be done with it because
do
if you
cold
go
the whole time.
back and forth, yeah, it was nice being all nice and warm and then going cold. I was miserable. Like,
Hey, maybe we'll have to do another one and see how it goes.
all right,
Well, I will say that I do like the cold shower. It wakes you up. It does wake you up. Like, I think moving forward, if there's a day where I need to be super alert,
Gets
then
that blood flowing.
cold shower is the way to go. But since our last episode, sometimes I take showers at night, and I'm not taking a cold shower at night. I'm trying to relax at night. And so, but in the morning, I did do it, and I was going hot to cold because I was like, okay, I'm a little hot, and when you turn on the cold, it just kind of almost feels good. But I do think that's cheating a little bit, so I'm gonna try the full cold, just like you, Jip.
And for those of you who don't know or didn't hear the last episode, that was a micro challenge I gave out to folks just to take a cold shower, see if you can make it through. So if you could do hard things, you can get your mindset straight. You're going to have to handle adversity and have some resilience going forward. So thanks for partaking.
Yeah, I hope that others will share with us how it went for them because it's interesting to hear how it goes and if you're able to do it, really.
I'm ready for the next challenge. Bring it.
You're going to have to wait to the end of the episode. But first off, we're going to talk about a few other things. I'm pretty sure I got my basketball gear on. Bonzi Wells, Ball State with the Blazer jersey. D3's hoops. Maybe some other small school items.
D3 hoops. Okay, so who's in the running? Do you guys know? Who's in the running to make to March Madness?
Well, let me give you a little fact about D3. There's 433 active schools participating in D3 sports. There's 44 conferences, over 200,000 student athletes. But this is what I was kind of shocked by. There's only 36 states represented.
Wow. Yeah, with 430 plus schools, only in 36 states.
Right. So we got to find out what those 14 states are. And
Yeah,
that's super weird.
And my guess would be
college
right off the top, maybe Hawaii, Alaska, and some of those, Montana types. I don't know.
Maybe Delaware because it's the size of your pinky. But
you would think those small states would have small schools.
That's true. And very interesting. And we don't know that one, so it's something we need to look up.
Most D3 schools are 80% private. There's 28 national championships played in D3.
I wonder what the most unusual sport is.
I can tell you what a new sport is. They just had some of their annual meetings, and they've come out that stunt is a new sport. Does anybody know what stunt is?
Stunting?
Not stunting. Not I'm stunting on them. Not I'm a stunner, the number one, but stunt. STUNT. Stunt.
Is it like
gymnastics?
Very close.
I was gonna say like a double stunt, like I jump off roofs.
A stunt woman.
Yeah.
Now, see, that's exactly what I thought when I saw it. But upon further review, a little bit of reading, and you find out it's cheerleading, etc. Some of the tumbling and all that. They're going to have competition, school on school stunt competitions. It's going to be a D3 sport. Coming at
Okay.
you soon.
Now I wonder,
All right.
Mackenzie is a
There you go.
cheerleader, and she, this is our niece, and they have that competition there as well. I wonder if they call it stunt there. We'll have to ask her.
I don't know, but I will be interested in to look that up and ask her. It's she's at the Coastal Carolina. All
Nice.
good.
Okay. Interesting.
I got a couple more facts for you.
Drop them.
Well, so the difference between D3 and D1 is mostly that they're small schools, but for the athletes, they participate in less practices and less games. So
Okay.
it's more
And I'm going to tell you in a little bit
academic-oriented.
about how recruiting is slightly different as well.
And then the number one thing that most people might know is that there's no scholarships. So my question is there NIL?
Well, that's a good question.
That is a
And
good
first of all, I could tell you from my small research into NIL that it does. It's a state dependent. They have different laws per state, so
Okay.
there might be one of these 36 states that disallow it, but I've never heard that.
I believe they can, because I do know a kid who plays football at. Ooh, I'm gonna forget the name, but they made shirts with their name on the back, and he had a website like, you can buy my shirt.
Nice.
And so I think they can. But that's
Should
a good
be no
question,
reason not to.
and we will get back to you with the answer with that one, for sure. I believe they should be able to. Yeah. Well,
So what's up with D3 hoops? Who knows anything about D3 hoops?
I'm going to tell you the first thing that I know is that the NCAA is slacking on their D3 information, and I'm calling them out right now. They're right down the street from me. It's a matter of fact, if you look up the top 10 or the top 25 on the NCAA page, it'll direct you to a website that's hoops.com. D3hoops.com owns or runs way more than the NCAA runs. So, Liz, I understand you got the top 25 or top 10 from D3 Hoops.
I do. And I will say also that the D3 Hoops site directs you to the 2020 top 10. So they're a little lagging as well. You had to dig a little to find that top 10, but I will share it with you all now. And one moment while I bring up my screen.
In my course of research, I found a podcast about D3 wrestling, D3 track, and D3 golf. Podcast dedicated
to that D3 track.
So, these are the women's D3 top 10 as of week 7. So that's as of January 21st.
This is brought to you by
NYU.
Settled on the Field.
New York University is number 1. Transylvania out of Lexington, Kentucky is number 2.
They're always up there.
Yeah. Rhode Island College is number 3. The UW Whitewater, Wisconsin, number 4. Coming in next is Christopher Newport out of Newport, Virginia.
That was last year's national championships. No big deal.
Oh, wow.
For men's, though, right?
Oh, yeah, for the men. I'm sorry.
Sorry. We're talking about women's right now. And next up we have Gustavus Adolphus. Where is Gustavus Adolphus located? Anybody?
Gesundheit.
I'm going to say Ohio.
Good guess. It is Minnesota. But we do have a lot of Ohio represented here in the men's category. Next up is Catholic University. Somebody chime in. Where is your university located? Then we have Emory out of Atlanta and Johns Hopkins out of Baltimore, rounding up number 10.
Man, look at those records. They all deserve to be in the top 10. We got one team with 2 losses. Everybody else is 1 or less. That's solid.
Yes. Johns Hopkins moves up from number 11 last week. And a couple of people moved up. Emory moved up. And Catholic looks like they moved up as well. So, talking about the men, number 1 right now is Hampton, Sydney, after week 7. And they are out
Hampton,
of Virginia.
Yep.
Yep. Virginia. Then we have Case Western Reserve from Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio.
John Carroll, also out of Ohio. University Heights, Ohio. Calvin is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Trinity is out of Connecticut. I think there might be a couple Trinities out there. Oswego State is out of Oswego, New York. And number 7, Trine University is right here in Indiana.
Yeah.
Let's go Trine.
Is Trine considered Angola or Fort Wayne? I believe
they're Angola.
I believe they're Angola.
They're
too,
a little
now
north.
That I say that. Yes.
We are Thunderous. Guilford is in Greensboro, North Carolina. Keene State out of New Hampshire. And then rounding out the top 10 is Randolph-Macon out of Ashland, Virginia.
So I guess Macon, Georgia.
Yeah, I would have guessed that too. So where do they play their Final Four? Does anybody
Final
know?
Four, Fort Wayne, Indiana. So just south of Trine. They play at the Allen County War Memorial Stadium. It's just an amazing barn. I've played hockey there, gone to a hockey game there before. And if you remember back in the day when South Bend Clay won their state championship, they won their semi-state in that building.
1994.
Nice.
Yep. They played against Joe and John Ross, the Ross brothers. Those two are the reason Digger Phelps no longer coaches Notre Dame basketball.
Part of the reason. Come on.
But we actually went to the War Memorial Stadium last year and watched a minor league hockey game, and it is a really cool old barn.
Yeah, I'm going to like to show you some footage from there, because if you didn't know about D3 hoops at all and you're like, why are these guys talking about it? I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share a little video for you, and it's going to be last year's championship coming down to the wire. And as I mentioned, Christopher Newport, who's number 17 right now, I chimed in when it was the women's, but here's the end of the game. Mount Union down 2, ties it up, 4.3 seconds. What are we going to do? You got a timeout.
Coast to coast.
Bang. Trey Barber, coast to coast for the championship. Hey, they reviewed it. It counted. They win by 2.
Oh, what an amazing ending.
I mean, you can't ask for an ending to get like tighter than that, right? But Trey Barber, this guy right now, he's in the top 100 finalist for the Bevo Francis Award. Has anyone heard of the Bevo Francis Award?
No.
Can't wait.
Probably not. He's still playing. He's still there. He just actually scored a game winner like less than a week ago. So the top 100 is going to get narrowed down to the top 50 in the next week for the Bevo Francis Award. And what's unique about this is we're talking about D3, but it includes D2 players and NAIA players. And I believe NCCA players as well. Like it's all the small school top 100 folks. And
just basketball?
One of the most prestigious awards you can get. And unfortunately, I don't know who won last year, but he's in for the running this year.
Well, of course.
Trey Barber.
That has to be one of the greatest D3 championship endings ever.
I don't know how it could not be. There's also a guy I saw on the list. His name is Jesse Bingham II. Anybody heard of that one? He plays right up the road at UIndy. So maybe we got to ask somebody that we know about UIndy, Jesse Bingham II. He went to Warren Central out of Indianapolis. And one of his teammates, Jacoby Robinson, is now, after transferring, they're on the same team at UIndy, reunited. And he's also in that top 100 finalist for the award. I thought that was pretty awesome.
That's cool.
That is awesome.
Indiana representing.
I'm going to chime in with some trivia because you mentioned it, though. Does anyone happen to know the Christopher Newport mascot, what their name is?
Oh, I'm going to take a guess.
National champions.
Christopher Newport, I mean, it's got to be something like a bear, like Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin.
That's a good guess.
Man,
Uh,
well, if
do I not get a guess?
go ahead, you get a guess.
Newport. I'm thinking
Virginia.
some kind of a fish. Freaking like
Eh,
a
it's close.
sawfish.
You're close. They're the captains. The captains.
Captains. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that
All
makes
right.
sense.
That
Captain
works.
Bill, the Navy's right there.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of the D3 tournament, I got a little breakdown for you how they pick it.
Okay.
So the men started in 1975 with 30 teams, and they quickly ended up getting to 64 in 2000. Well, not quickly, but they added and they subtracted.
I bet
But
they
in
added up to 32 real quick. They're like, why don't we have 32?
actually, they went 30 to 38, back down to 30.
What do I know?
Finally,
That's
whatever.
funny.
So in 2017, they went to the full 64 team field. And same for the women. They're both 64 teams. The women started in 1987 with 16 teams. A lot smarter. But so they're both at
Usually.
64, and they both pick their tournament participants the same way. 44 conferences get an at-large bid. Simple.
Makes sense.
Then they have, that's called Pool A. Then they have what's called Pool B, and there's independent teams. In the women's, there's always an independent representative. In the men, there may not be. All right. So if you're in Pool A, 44, Pool B, there's always one in the women, or there may be one in the men as well. Then Pool C is everybody else that didn't win the conference or all the independents, and they're picked from there. The awesome thing is the first two rounds are played on campus sites. So Christopher, what's it called?
Newport.
Christopher Robin?
Newport.
Christopher Newport.
So if you're one of the top 32 teams, you're playing at home the first round.
Perfect.
Then after that, if you're one of the top 16 teams, you get to play at home again. Then they go to 8 host sites. So the top 8 teams get to host the Elite 8. The round of 64, 32, then the Sweet 16 is at 8 host sites. Then they play there with that and the Elite 8. Then the Final Four back down to Fort Wayne again this year at the Allen County War Memorial Stadium.
And so at the Final Four is in Fort Wayne, and that's been for what years? And this year and another, I understand.
So since 2021, and they're going to host it this year all the way through 2026.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, man, that's March 14th. Man, we might have to make a trip down and
make a trip to Fort Wayne.
We
right
might
up
have
69.
We're going to be rooting for Trine. They're going to make it. Trine.
Let me tell you something, what I know about Trine. All right. Trine is number 7. 17-1.
Wow.
I mean, right there, you got to be impressed. Anybody 17-1. This is what impressed me, though, and I would imagine you'd find this across the board in a lot of D3 sports. It was very regional based with some of the recruiting. They've got, of their 15 players, 4 are from Indiana.
All right.
6 are from Michigan. 3 from Ohio. So think of that little tri-state area, filling up the team. Grab 1 from Tennessee and 1 from Virginia, and you're good to go. Only one guy is 6'8". Everybody else is below 6'8". Right. So I imagine, Jeb asked me this before the show, but there's somebody I'm not a fan of, and it's mainly because he's like 7'4", but we don't need to get into that right now.
And he looks like one of those wind blowing.
That's the one.
I don't know what those things are called. This is all very good information because, you don't hear about this, and they deserve, these underdogs, these guys, they deserve to be talked about. So good luck. They got 4 seniors. Tournament.
I hope Trine can make a run. They got 4 seniors, and they've already beat, I can't think of the name of the school, but they beat the number 3 team on the road. So
we will be updating you as the tournament unfolds, and maybe we get to go get some footage down to the. I'm excited. I want to see this place. You've got me intrigued, Chip.
I've never seen a basketball game there. Just
Let's go check it out.
Still the same barn.
Speaking of barns and places you might not have seen, have you ever seen a game at Bethel or at St. Mary's?
I believe St. Mary's I have seen. Maybe Bethel when I was younger.
I've seen one at Bethel a really long time ago.
So I saw Bethel play at St. Mary's, but I've never seen a game at Bethel. But I brought that up because within the research, NAIA,
Yep.
we got a kid out of Penn who plays now for Bethel. He just passed his 2,000th point. He transferred in from the Incarnate Word, which is D1. So a lot of our talk has to do with like walk-ons, but I believe like transfers is part of this because there's also much, the portal going on. So a lot of transfers, you come into a new place. He came in, he's setting the tone. And let me tell you something interesting about Bethel versus number 1 Grace, also in Indiana.
That game actually got postponed due to the weather.
Because of the weather that came in?
Yeah, last week when it was really cold and icy, they moved it a few days.
They moved it a few days. Grace ended up beating Bethel. Mm-hmm. But of those 29 players on the team from both teams, 23 are from the great state of Indiana.
Nice.
I thought that, and you said that Grace just goes is number 1?
Number 1.
Grace is number 1. Wow, nice. Go Grace.
That was the only college that recruited me.
Grace?
Yeah.
You didn't go?
I should have.
Should have went.
Wait, where's Grace College? Someone educate me.
Winona Lake, outside of Goshen and outside of Warsaw. So in the gist.
Well, Jeb, you wanted to get farther away from home. You wanted to go see the rolling hills of Indiana and the southern Indiana.
In a long roundabout way, I made it there.
Yeah. Maybe you should tell us about your roundabout way, if you'd like.
That would have to be a whole episode.
That's a story for another day.
Same here.
I was listening to the running podcast. It was that these guys were loving some running.
Loving some running.
Did it make you want to go for a run?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. It was just neat to hear like all the different schools, and I mean just think all the people that. So, for example, I saw yesterday, coach needs baseball players still for this coming semester.
College.
Ancilla College.
Ancilla. They're like, I don't even know what level they are. And they still need players. So if you want to play at the next level, you can do it, man. Just, you got to put some heart into it and look around. But I'm sure that if you go to a D3 college and you want to play, you can work your way onto a team.
Absolutely. We're going to talk beyond the bench today. This is advice for everybody. Let's be real. And then we'll get a little bit into the differences between D3, which we kind of touched on already. But my tip of the week this week is you have to keep your grades up. You have got to have a 3.0 or better. That is what all the coaches say. Do you have a 3.0 or better? Send me an email. Do you have a 3.0 or better? Send me your film. If you don't have a 3.0, it is going to be harder for you. So when your parents tell you to keep your grades up, don't wait until you hear from a coach of a school you really want to go to that says, well, I really like you, but you need to get your grades up, because it is a lot harder to do when you are a junior or a senior than it is to just keep them high when you're a freshman. So start out good. Start out strong.
Do you think if you're 3.5, 3.8, like, are you that much higher on the totem pole? Like, or is just the 3 the threshold and they're happy?
It kind of depends on the school for sure. But if you think about, you might be a really great player, right? But there are a lot of really great players. So you can find a great player who has a 2.5, but it's a lot harder to find a player who has a 3.5. And these players, you're showing that you can multitask. You're showing that you can be focused. I can focus on my schoolwork when I need to. I can focus on my sports when I need to. And the coaches are looking at that. And while you may, if you're the superstar 1%, you might not get turned down because you are lower than a 3.0. But it's going to help you. It can only help. It cannot hurt.
Hey, let me tell you exactly what I saw on the D3 webpage based on their winter meetings, right? So I told you about stunt. That's fantastic. But what they did was they reemphasized their philosophy statement, and there's specific language in there, and I quote, noting that it is primarily a 4-year undergraduate experience, and the division shall not award financial aid based on athletics, leadership, ability, participation, or performance. So you're truly a student athlete, student first.
Yes.
Nice.
And so that is where we get into some of the differences between recruiting when you're in a D3, between D3 and D1. We'll go into the differences of D2 on another episode, but D3, as Jeb mentioned, they do not give athletic scholarships, but they do give merit scholarships. So 80% of all D3 student athletes, have a scholarship, but it is based on merit. It is based on your GPA. It is based on test scores. And there are a few other things they might, need base is also part of that as well. So a lot of times when kids are deciding where should I go to school, and maybe they're debating between a D3 school and a D2 school. Sometimes it comes down to money because a lot of these D3 schools and a lot of the D2 schools are private schools. So they tend to cost more, but they want you. So they do work with you to try to get you some kind of a scholarship. They do want you to play sports, but they cannot give you a sports scholarship, so to speak. But they will work with you if you have that right merit to get you some money so you can play for them. So that is probably the absolute biggest difference between a D3 school, which are usually a lot smaller school, and a D1 school. At a D1 school, they are full ride only, but they only have 85 scholarships. So they can't divvy them up. They can't say, okay, we have 120 players on the team. We're going to just spread it out to all 120. They can only give full rides to all 85. So that is kind of the difference between those two types of schools when it comes to scholarships. At D2 schools, they are a little more flexible in terms of what I just said. They have a certain number of scholarships or a certain number of amount of money, and they can divide it up however they want. They could say, everyone on the team is going to get $2,000. Or they could say,
interesting.
They can divide it up. They just have to use a certain amount of money.
Wow.
And those are the basic differences between the scholarships. And if you are thinking you want to play sports in school, in college, you have to think about how big of a school do you want to go to. You might really think you want to go D1, but those are typically your really, really big schools. So think about, would you fit into that atmosphere? Maybe you're better off at a smaller school, and maybe you're better off being a big fish in a little pond. And
or maybe you're better at a school that actually has the scholastics that goes the track of what you might want to do someday. I know that most people change their mind, but you don't want to go to an engineering school only if you want to be studying something completely different. If you want to be in a medical school or something.
Yes, absolutely. You should definitely keep
that in mind,
because
most people don't go pro.
Exactly. So your number one job when you go to college is to figure out what it is you want to do. You might go in thinking you want to go to finance. You might completely change your mind and become a teacher. It happens all the time. But you definitely want to try to go to a school that has a lot, at least a couple of the majors you're thinking about.
Yeah, I changed my major 3 times.
Don't just pick a school for the pretty girls or the warm weather. Think about what they have to offer you.
That's really good advice. I mean, also on with the GPA, you know, your goal is to get a job out of college or to be, moving towards some sort of degree. And if you can prove yourself with a really good GPA in high school, you and another player that are the same talent, same quality on the field, the coaches are going to probably lean towards that person that has their life in order and is able to do it on the academic side. So I think it's a simple way to prove yourself capable of playing college athletics.
Absolutely. So that is my tip to you. Listen to your parents who are probably telling you the same thing. Don't wait on the college coach to tell you when it's a little too late. And also, if you are, let's say you are a junior and you're not quite happy with where your grades are, they do look at how they improve. So that is something you can show off. Like, I had a 2.8, but this semester I got a 4.0. And I'm going to take a summer class just to try to improve
that would
that
come
GPA.
across as strong. That's for sure.
And,
Yeah.
Your senior year, first semester, you're shooting for as best as you can do. Now, granted, not everybody is cut out to get a 4.0. Not everybody's cut out to get a 3.0. But if you're showing improvement and you can show that to the coaches, they appreciate that as well.
All great advice.
Hey, this is Krub, just reminding you to stay tuned for upcoming walk-on workouts and other micro challenges. Follow us on settledonthefield.com. You can find us on TikTok, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, the Gram, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Substack. I'm going to see you out on the field. Better yet, we're going to settle it on the field. Settledonthefield.com. Hashtag follow that at wow.
Rule of the day. Blue 11, cross-checking. White 4, you're holding. Red 11, slash. Roughing the passer on the defense, number 98, 15 yards and an automatic first down. Time, that's a balk. You, second base. No, that's a moving screen. White 4, moving screen. We're going the other way. Now let's get out our rule books for the settled on the field rule of the day.
All right. Everybody has their rule books out. We're going to continue with the basketball theme. Not a real exciting rule, but it is something I saw in a game the other day. So basically, the defensive player tipped the ball away from the offensive player. And the ball was traveling to goal. Okay, so the defensive team knocked the ball, and they knocked it towards the goal they're trying to score on. In the same motion, the defensive player went out of bounds, right? And the ball is bouncing towards the defensive player's now offensive goal at the other end.
He can't come back in and touch it.
He ran 3 steps out of bounds, came back in, picked up the ball, dribbled, and took it to the hoop and laid it in.
Absolutely not.
I did not know you can't do that.
And what did they call?
Basket.
Wait, what are you supposed to do if you go out of bounds?
Come back in.
Come back in, but somebody else has to touch the ball first?
No, you just have to reestablish back onto the court.
So hold on. You started this with I thought you started this segment with they called something, but they didn't call it.
Right. Yes.
So it's not like football. It's not like illegal touching because he went out of bounds. It's you establish yourself back in bounds, which I think we've seen Dennis Rodman do before, tipping it, gets his feet in, calls timeout, something crazy like that.
Yeah. So that brings another point. So an airborne player the ball as they're going out of bounds. So they're in the air and catch the ball, and they throw it back onto the court. They go back and they pick it up and start, or they just, the ball's bouncing and they continue the dribble.
Then they can come back in and dribble, and it's not like a pass to themselves like it would be if they were in bounds the whole time.
Right. So he just continued his dribble. So now same situation. catches the ball in the air as he's going out of bounds, throws it up in the air, out of bounds, comes back in, grabs the ball with both hands, starts dribbling.
Okay, well, I am a novice basketball fan, so tell me, what should he have done?
Well, so is that legal or is that
So,
illegal?
okay, hold on. Let me just analyze. The first time you're saying he's continuing his dribble. The second time he came in and grabbed it with two hands and then dribbled. So they may have called double dribble.
They did call double dribble.
There you go.
Because he possessed the ball in the air, and then he threw it up, and then it landed like that's a dribble. So then it went out of bounds, and he was the first one to get the ball back, and he grabbed it. So now it's like he picked up his dribble, and going out of bounds has nothing to do with it. So I had no idea you could go out
Both
of
of
bounds.
these happened in the same game that you were watching?
No. The first one happened in the game. The kid ran literally 3 steps out of bounds, came back in, grabbed the ball, and went to the house. And everybody stopped because he had been out of bounds. So they were all thinking football. But in basketball, that is continuation.
That is continuations. So that was not a wrong call. That was proper.
Right. He made the right call. And everybody was going nuts. And I had no idea.
That's crazy. That is
I didn't know either. As you're saying all this, I'm picturing some highlight of Michael Jordan's where he dives, saves it in bounds, takes like 4 or 5 steps, and then returns, but then a different player is involved and passes it back to him, and he finishes strong to the hoop like he does. But recovering the ball yourself, I would think, would be a pass to yourself, which is usually called traveling.
That's usually called travel.
This could be a separate one, but how about this is in high school basketball. I don't know if it's true at other levels, but if you shoot an air ball, right? So if you shoot the ball and it's a shot attempt, the official judges it as a shot attempt, and then you shoot it, the ball lands, and you go and you're the first one to possess it again, that is not traveling.
Because it hit the ground. It's a rebound.
I guess so.
Follow your shot.
I know, but to me, that seems like that would be traveling. But they said because it's a legitimate shot.
Have we seen this? Have you seen this happen?
That I have not. But I could see it happen. A big guy underneath, like, just short arms it, and then it comes back right down on the floor in front of him, and he grabs it.
Yeah.
Short arms it.
Little gator arm. That's a great explanation. I was picturing someone from the corner shoots it and just hustles to get a rebound. It misses, and then he's the only one in the corner who gets it.
To me, that's better than like the big guy.
Yeah,
just missing the rim completely.
Obviously.
But so that's your rule of the day. And now let's go on to Billy and the Walk-On Warriors segment. And we'll also find out what our challenge is this week. Are you ready for that, Liz?
I'm a little nervous.
Oh, you better be nervous.
After I had to take a cold shower.
I do have what I feel is a great segment today, and I'm probably going to not live up to me calling it a great segment, but Walk-On Warriors, I have to tell you a story, and I just read this today. Everybody knows that TCU was just in the finals for football last year. Their basketball team, their women's basketball team, has been suffering from some injuries, like some severe injuries, some knees. They tried to come back. They had another knee injury. They were down to 6 players. They had a couple games. They had like 6 players out of 12 or 13, like on the roster, right? So they're down to 6. They had a couple games where even someone might have been sick and they had to forfeit. They just didn't have enough to basically field the team without risking further injury. So a couple of forfeits. What do you think they're going to do? You can't just quit for the whole year. So what do? Is they reach out to the student body, the Gen Pop, and they say, we're having open tryouts for the TCU women's basketball team, the Horned Frogs, the Lady Horned Frogs. And they find out that they have 3 state champion Texas state champions in their Gen Pop normal students, as it's called, and they brought 4 players onto the team, and I'm going to read their names, and I hope they can reach out to us. Piper Davis, Ella Hamlin, Micaiah Moore, and Sarah Sylvester. They're now all on the team, and they won their very next game with these players playing in the game.
That is
So-
amazing. I
So
love it.
these kids said, you know what? I'm going to go represent my school. I'm going to try out. I'm going to contribute. They got to, be on the team. They're now on the team. And who knows if they'll
freshmen or if they had been a couple of years since they'd played,
I'm going to have to look that up. I'm sorry, I don't have all the information for them, but that's amazing to me. Those are people who are ready. Those are people looking to contribute. Those are people staying in shape, probably playing in the gym on the side because they love the sport of basketball. And now there they are.
They're on the rec league, the intramural
D1
team.
ballers.
Can you imagine you go from just being a student to the next day? Like, I might have an opportunity to be on the team. I haven't thought about it, but here I am.
So I got to ask this question of Jeb because, many people know this. He's a huge Duke fan. And I know that we don't want to talk about the C word. That's COVID for y'all. But during that time frame, the Duke Blue Devils did not play in the ACC tournament nor the NCAA tournament when they were eligible because COVID kept them out. And at the time, I'm thinking to myself, you have to be kidding me. Like, okay, these 3, 4, maybe 12 kids are all sick, but you're Duke.
Yeah.
You're in North Carolina. You probably have, like TCU has, probably 20 kids that are better than anyone at the University of Iowa or the University of Indiana, maybe. I don't know.
Right,
Say, come on out. We're playing tomorrow.
No, you gotta. If you don't have your squad, you can't play. And
Coach K can't get 5 guys and play a game.
well, no, they would be
Imagine
fine.
all that time they spend on recruiting to just be like, come on.
Definitely played and maybe even been competitive, but man, let another team that's played their entire season play. I mean, come on. You're not just giving 6 walk-on kids an opportunity just because you're Duke. That's not right. Now, if they just had to go with the walk-ons they had already on the team, that would have been fantastic. And they should
That would have been that. Maybe they could have done that, but they maybe have all been ill or exposed or something. But all right. So,
Yeah.
I mean, those are 2 stories that are kind of intertwined, but I just feel like it was awesome that TCU even gave people that opportunity. And you know what? They were there.
And
they
man,
were there to step up.
I'd love to ask those girls if they were shooting around like, in college, we used to go play pickup basketball all the time. But were they playing all fall and pickup basketball? I mean, they're just coming off a Christmas break. When they went home, did they shoot the rock at all?
At least one of them hasn't played since like a year ago.
Did they gain 5 pounds from eating pie and turkey like the rest of us? Or were they out there running every day?
Running every day. All right, so here's the transition for you, LIZ. The challenge of the week for you walk-on warriors.
Oh, no.
All right, so what have we been talking about here in central/northern Indiana has been weather. It's been very cold. Today we had a break in the weather, at least temperature-wise. I think it was maybe in the 40s around here, but it was raining. And so the challenge to you all is twofold, is to go for a run in some inclement weather. Right now, in most of the country, it's cold or it's rainy or something like that. I know there's some parts that are beautiful, but before too long, it's going to be late spring, midsummer. You're going to be sweating as soon as you step out the door, and you're going to be cursing the heat. And if you're at 2-a-days or trying out for something like that, the heat is going to be your enemy. So I challenge you to get outside while it's wet, while it's cold, and get that run in anyway.
Right.
If you don't have access to your high school track, or you don't have a middle school within 5 miles of your house, or you don't have a track that you're thinking of where you go running at, which I haven't ran on a track in 15 years or so, you need to march out and figure out that path that you're going to be doing a little pavement work over the summer. So it's a twofold thing: is figure out where your mile is that's going to be your go-to, even when it's like, you know what, I can't make it to the gym. It's nasty out. My buddy's not taking me to the indoor university soft track with, cold water at the faucet. You just have to go outside, lace them up, and do your lap. And right now it's just a mile. For some people, I might advise more if you're already good to go. But outside, if it's a new path you're taking, look for those cracks, look for those messed up curbs, find out where that hole with water in it is 4 feet deep. Don't fall in it, and get out there and run that mile run.
All
What
right,
do you think?
challenge accepted.
Yeah, I think I
Okay.
actually might like running in the rain better than I do in the regular weather. I don't like running, period, but in the rain it's kind of fun, maybe. I hope it stays rainy. Well, let me reiterate or change that. I don't like rain in general, but I will take what we had today over like -5. Because then
All
I
right,
just
so-
don't even want to go outside. It just hurts to go outside.
So in theory, if everybody knows exactly what's in my mind, is you get ready to go for a run, you get back, you maybe take a picture of your shoes that are wet or your socks to the shoes down, prove that you've done the run, submit that picture, say, hey, I'm a walk-on warrior, hashtag wow, I did the walk-on warrior workout of the week. Even though these are easy right now, it's going to get more complicated. I've got a few people that might have ideas they might want to share with us. And so let's see what we got.
All right, now what if
Hashtag
I'm
wow,
in
wow.
Florida and it's beautiful weather? What do I do?
Hey, you go out for the run and you just get it in anyway.
Then you get
No
to rub
extra
it in the
challenge for me.
sunshine in the background of your shoes or the
And
beach.
if you didn't do the cold shower challenge of last week, you can do that one right after your run. Might even feel better then.
But
That's right.
I do like it afterwards because it's kind of like icing your muscles.
Yeah, it's good for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Well,
like it.
all right, I like it. Let's look. What's the weather going to be like tomorrow? I think it's going to be like today, like 45 and raining. Every
Yeah, it's
day.
got perfect time for that challenge.
Tomorrow's the day.
I'm checking it off. That's going to be done.
Okay.
So, Billy, you got anything else for us on the walk-on warrior of the week?
No, I mean, I pointed out the TCU players. That was just so exciting. I just wanted to focus on them. I had the challenge, the micro challenges, just to get the cold shower because I know a lot of people didn't do it. To maybe reemphasize as to why it's Walk On Warriors is the segment. I walked on. I know there's a lot of walk-ons out there, and I'm going to bring up a coach out there that everybody loves, which is Deion Sanders. He was talking about the transfer portal and NIL, and he's like, for $50,000, you can get a walk-on. And when I read that, I knew exactly what he meant. He meant I got to pay top dollar to get top talent, and that's low dollar $50,000 to get me a walk-on. Well, hey, if you're one of those kids who's about to walk on, you better take that and post it on your locker and post it in your bedroom and say, I got your 50,000 right here, Deion. You call me up because I'm going to be on a different team and I'm coming down on the kickoff team and I'm going to knock your son out of the game.
There
Boom.
you go.
Lay the helmet right on his chest.
Yeah.
Full speed. We'll give you 50,000.
Yeah.
I hope all our walk-on warriors get 50,000. Hope they
That
get
would
more
be
than that.
fantastic. That'd be a great start for him.
Yeah, and then so the second half Warriors, I'm a veteran. A lot of veterans don't like when you compare, use war terminology for sports or wars. There's this great meme about war terminology in like a business setting. It's like, let's get over this. Let's not say we got our boots on the ground. Hey man, we're going to Vegas for a convention. But
I can see
so. But these people are battling. They're battling every day. To make themselves better, to make the team, and to continue strides to be a better individual in society and contribute. So that's why they get that label.
Yeah, man. If you're a walk-on, you're going to be a success in life, man. You're just proving to everybody out there that you will go do hard work.
And we are looking forward to seeing you. We're going to help you get there. Follow these challenges and show your coach you're willing to go above and beyond. Let's get it.
So let's transition from the walk-ons to what used to be amateur sports and talk a little Olympics.
Coming
So
up
we
this
got
year,
Coming up.
Paris Olympics. So I got a trivia question for you.
2024.
How many sports are going to be in the 2024 Paris Olympics?
59.
Olympics. 37.
Wow, great guess. 40, or excuse me, there's 32 in the 2024 Olympics. Then
32?
there's going to be 8 more when they go to 2026 winter. No, I read that wrong. Yeah, there's 32 in Paris. Included in those 32 are the 5 new sports. You ready for these?
I think so.
We got sailing, or excuse me, surfing, which sounds awesome.
I'm excited
Surfing.
for
They
that.
didn't have that previously, like in Australia or something.
So they may have had it as like a trial.
Okay,
You know, they do the see if it's going to work. So
makes
surfing,
sense.
skateboarding, which I mean has been a huge X Games sport.
Yeah, obviously. Yep, both of them.
Then sport climbing, which is rock wall climbing as fast as you can.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
Is there
That's-
style points with that, or is it just speed?
I believe it's
Like-
just speed, but I could be wrong.
Dangerous.
But the best one of them all, this goes kind of along with the the Division 3 sport that they just started. This is called breaking.
Little breaking.
Breakdancing.
How do
Yes.
they judge breakdancing? Is it one-on-one? Is it group on group? Gang battle?
So it is basically they have like a judging system, and it's one-on-one, and they just go at it, man. They have
Do they get to pick their own music, or is it like thrown at them?
I believe they get to that. I don't know, but I believe they have certain, like just like in gymnastics, there's certain movements, that you have to do. But
Yeah.
so we'll break those
that'll
down
be
more
very fun to watch.
as we get closer to the Olympics. We'll break that down more for you and give you some insight on the new sports, and maybe we'll talk the other bigger sports.
Turbo and Ozone will be representing for the U.S.
What I'm also wondering is, so they add sports periodically. Do they also take sports out periodically? And I'm wondering, because some sports must go out
They
of
do.
style at some.
So actually, the Tokyo Olympics, we saw baseball and softball, and those games were actually held in 2001 because of COVID. So baseball and softball were in the Tokyo Olympics. They are not in the Paris Olympics.
Interesting.
They come back again in 2028 in the Los Angeles.
Interesting.
Games.
I wonder why. They
Well,
limited
I guess
that.
my question is: so you got Paris is hosting 2024. Mr. Wembayama, rookie for the Spurs, worst team in the league, be the host. Are they the favorite? Will the USA win the gold? I guess is my final question.
USA men's basketball gold is probably
Expected.
yeah. I mean,
Is it a lock?
I'd say it's 90%.
I would say they better win it. 95, 97 point. That's the one sport you can't lose if you're America.
But we've lost several times.
I know, but they need a comeback. The comeback kids this year, 2024.
All right, folks. That's episode 2 of Settled on the Field. Thanks for joining us. Peace.
Thank you for listening. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all of the above. See you next time.
See you later. Settled on the field.
Thank you for listening to Settled on the Field. Be sure to email us your questions and suggestions to settledonthefield@gmail.com. Follow us on all socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Settled on the Field was produced by Spencer McNally. See you next time.